Hello, it's Elliot here, and it's that time again because I have had a delivery of Criterion Blu-rays to my doorstep. These are from the most recent 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble over in the US, and I have kindly had these sent to me by some of my relatives over in New Jersey because, as you may know, Barnes & Noble do not ship to the United Kingdom. So for anyone who asks me how I get these sent over here, the easy answer is just have some friends or family who would be willing to help you out. So I have 18 things to show you in this video, so it could be a bit of a long one. So grab a nice drink, sit down, relax, and listen to me blabber on as always. Let's get straight to it. This first one that I want to show you is something that I think a lot of people bought during this most recent sale. It is Memories of Murder. This is the film from Bong Joon-ho, which recently had a release from the Criterion collection. I'm showing you this one first because I actually cheated. I watched this before making this video because I just could not wait to take a look at it. And what a film. Absolutely incredible film. If you've not seen it, it's a film about murders, obviously, but it isn't your typical thriller. It points a finger at the police force. It's a very satirical kind of film that looks at bureaucratic incompetence, which is a theme that runs through a lot of South Korean cinema, actually. And I just find this such an amazing film, and I know that I'm not alone in thinking that. The disc itself is great, and there's a lot of special features on here. There's a great conversation with Guillermo del Toro talking about the perfection in this film, as he puts it. Something I will note about this Blu-ray is there's been some conversation about the colour timing of this restoration, and I'll be honest, it does look very different to past iterations of this film on disc. It's very green and very dark, and I know a lot of people don't like this, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about this particular colour timing, but it doesn't affect the film too much at the end of the day. When you're watching it, you get used to it very quickly, but it was a bit jarring at times because I thought, oh, this looks just like The Matrix because of how green it is. But you know, that's a conversation for another video about, you know, filmmakers going back and changing the colours of their films and everything. It's a whole topic that I'll tackle somewhere else. So anyway, all that said, Memories of Murder, absolutely loved watching this again on the Criterion Blu-ray. I also bought Piero le Fou. This is the Jean-Luc Godard film. This is from a recent 2K restoration because this was in the Criterion collection over a decade ago, but it fell out of print, and it is now back in the collection with this new restoration, and apparently it looks amazing. I can't wait to watch it. I think this is going to be watched tonight. It's a film that I remember liking a lot years and years ago when I watched it. And I've talked about Jean-Luc Godard on this channel before and how some of his films I just don't connect with at all. It's his early to mid-60s films that I really do like. After that, not so much. But his films are growing on me. I don't know, maybe I just need to spend more time with them. Maybe that's it. So, can't wait to watch this tonight. That's Piero le Fou. Next up, I got Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, starring Forrest Whitaker. This is the Jim Jarmusch film. It's a film that follows this assassin for hire who has this strange Zen way of looking at life. He has this code of honor, much like a samurai. And I love Jim Jarmusch's style of filmmaking, and the cinematography from Robbie Mueller is exemplary as always. So that's Ghost Dog. I also bought Meantime. This is the film from Mike Leigh. I've never actually seen Meantime, although I am a huge fan of Mike Leigh. There's just a few films in his filmography that I just haven't seen yet. I got this because I was recently rewatching that Criterion Closet video from the Safdie brothers, and they were talking a lot about this film and how they find it so influential. So can't wait to check this out. If you've seen it, do let me know what you think of Meantime in the comments below. Next up, I got Make Way for Tomorrow, the film from Leo McCarey. And this is a heartbreaking look at generational divides within family structures. And it's a film that inspired Yasujiro Ozu's Tokyo Story, which is perhaps a film that's more famous than this. Although if you go back and watch this, it's I think, equally as good as Tokyo Story. I think this is a masterpiece from Leo McCarey, who made so many great films in the 30s. I won't list them all here, but he made Duck Soup, and he made Ruggles of Redcap, and so many others. But anyway, I'm very excited to rewatch this on this Criterion Blu-ray. Next up, I got The Lady Vanishes. This is the Alfred Hitchcock film, spine number 3 in the Criterion collection, so this was a very early release. It's a film I didn't have on Blu-ray before, but this is an example, an early example of a Hitchcock masterpiece. I absolutely love it. It's a film that's set on a train, and I always think, what is more cinematic than a train or a film set on a train? I don't know, it just does it for me. I just like films set on trains. So excited to rewatch this again. That's The Lady Vanishes. This next film is another one that I haven't seen. It is La Ciénaga from Lucretia Martel, which I picked up because I really enjoyed her film Zama, but I haven't seen any of her other movies. And unfortunately they aren't available in the UK on Blu-ray, so I had to resort to this Criterion Blu-ray for this film. So I'm very much looking forward to checking it out. Do let me know if you have any thoughts on this movie. On this channel, I recently talked about my adoration for Gregory Peck after watching Roman Holiday. So I wanted to pick up some more of his movies that I hadn't seen before. So I got The Gunfighter. And all I know about this is it's Gregory Peck in a Western. So that sounds good to me. So I think I'm going to watch this weekend. This next one is very exciting for me. Celine and Jules Go Boating from Jacques Rivette. I wanted to get this Blu-ray because apparently it is an upgrade over the existing BFI Blu-ray of this film, which I got a few years ago, and I was completely enthralled by the film. It's quite enigmatic, maybe mystical, and it looks at reality and what is reality and questioning reality. I just said reality too many times. But yeah, it's one of those films, perhaps. Sometimes I think his films have inspired filmmakers like David Lynch, but I don't know if there's any connection there. But it's one of those films that really does make you go, whoa, what the hell's going on here? And then at the end, you're like, no, this is just amazing. So I can't wait to rewatch this is basically what I'm saying. Speaking of films that have you questioning reality, I have a certified copy from Abbas Kiarostami. Now, Abbas Kiarostami has become one of my favourite filmmakers over these past few years. I've absolutely devoured his work. I have everything that's been released from Criterion, and I just absolutely love his films. And this might actually be my favourite of his films, which I know is an unpopular choice for many people, but his calibre of work is just so high. So I think if you picked any of his films as a favourite, I wouldn't disagree with you necessarily. It is one of those films that, yeah, makes you question what is actually real, what's fiction, and that's a line that actually runs through a lot of his works. If you go back to Close Up, which is a film that blends documentary and fiction, and it really blurs the lines. And yeah, I just love this film for that. So I'm very excited to watch this on the Criterion Blu-ray. I also bought Rosetta. This is from the Dardenne brothers, and I bought this because I wanted to fill in some gaps in my viewings of Palme d'Or winners from the Cannes Film Festival, and I had never seen this, and this won in the year 1999, I think. And I've seen one of their other films. I've seen 2 Days, One Night with Marion Cotillard, and that's a great film. So I'm hoping for similar things from Rosetta. Here I have Muriel, or The Time of Return. This is a film from Alain Resnais, and I wanted to get this because I've been a big fan of Resnais's works, like Hiroshima Mon Amour and Last Year at Marienbad. And I find those two films actually very perplexing. They were very hard to connect with at first, but they're one of those films that initially I thought I didn't like them. And then for weeks and months after watching them, I would just randomly think of them in the day. And that to me was a sign that I probably actually did like them, or at least connected with those films. So then when I went and rewatched them, I found out I actually really like those films. I've never seen this one, so I'm hoping this will be added to that repertoire of Resnais films that I find perplexing, but I actually really love. This next film is one I wanted to revisit for some time now, because it must be 5 or 6 years since I last saw it. It's Jules and Jim from Francois Truffaut, and this is a masterpiece in my opinion. Among the many masterpieces that Truffaut made, but I really remember loving this film a lot. Strangely, this is one of those dual format editions. I thought these were pretty much out of print now from Criterion. So I was surprised when this turned up in the Digipack case, because I thought it was just going to be a standard Blu-ray. But I'm very excited to watch this because it's one of those unconventional love stories where two guys fall in love with this one girl. And, well, that's a story as old as time itself. So I wanted to rewatch this. And recently I was watching another Criterion Closet video with Mike Lee, and Mike Lee was singing the praises of this film. So that made me want to rewatch it. So that's Jules and Jim. Next up, I've got The Parallax View. This is the Alan J. Pakula film starring Warren Beatty. This is part of that Paranoid trilogy with All the President's Men and Clute. Now, those two films I completely love, and they are two of my favourite films from the 1970s. This one I've never seen before, so I'm very excited to watch this. It's not a film that you can actually get on Blu-ray here in the UK, so I had to get it from the US, and yeah, can't wait to watch it. This next release is one that I wanted Criterion to bring to Blu-ray for such a long time, and then finally this year they've gone and done it. It is 3 films from Louis Buñuel, and this has in it The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, The Phantom of Liberty, and That Obscure Object of Desire. I love these films, and Buñuel is one of the great filmmakers of all time. I can't wait to revisit these because they are funny films, but they are also satirical, pointing a finger at so many different things in society. It's just a masterclass in how to make satirical filmmaking, I guess, or filmmaking that actually has a powerful message behind it and isn't just entertainment, but is also very entertaining at the same time, if that makes any sense. There's rumours that Criterion are going to be bringing more Buñuel films to Blu-ray, in particular some of his Mexican films, which is very exciting, but you know, that's a whole other thing. Hopefully that comes to fruition, but for now, I'm going to enjoy these a lot. I have 3 more films to show you, and then I promise that's the end of this whole video. Now, all 3 of these are blind buys, but sometimes that's just the way it has to be. These aren't available on Blu-ray here in the UK, and sometimes I can be a bit stubborn, and I will just hold out to be able to watch a film in HD on a Blu-ray. That's something that I have to work on, but that's who I am for now. Anyway, the film I have here is Election from Alexander Payne. I was listening to a podcast recently, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but they were talking about Election and how great it is. And I wanted to revisit some of Alexander Payne's filmography anyway. I recently watched Sideways, which is a great film. And I've even liked some of his more recent films from the last decade, like The Descendants, which I don't think too many people liked, and even Downsizing. I had a lot of fun watching Downsizing, so maybe I'm strange in that regard. But Election, that's why I got this film. I also got The Breaking Point, directed by Michael Curtiz. This was also recommended to me by someone, but I can't remember who. My mind is a sieve these days. I wanted to get this though, because Michael Curtiz is a director, again, who I want to fill in some of the gaps in his filmography that I haven't seen, which is difficult for him because he was one of those crazy prolific directors back in the day in Golden Age Hollywood. He was one of those guys that would make 6 or 7 films a year, you know, churning them out like a conveyor belt. So I don't think I'll ever see every film that he made. But this is one that I can see because it's on a Criterion Blu-ray. And I also recently watched King Creole starring Elvis Presley, which is directed by him. And I loved that film so much. So that's why I got The Breaking Point. And the last film in this Blu-ray haul, we finally got to the end. It's Mikey and Nicky, the Elaine May film starring Peter Falk and John Cassavetes. Never seen this, like I said, it's a blind buy, but I'm very familiar with these two actors and Elaine May. Elaine May is one of those directors that I feel like doesn't get the attention that she deserves. And her film A New Leaf is one of my favourites of all time. It's so funny. And these guys are great together. I recently watched Husbands, which is the John Cassavetes film. I'm hoping this is as good as Elaine May's other films, or as good as Cassavetes and Peter Falk have been together in other things. So yeah, that's why I got Mikey and Nikki. Oh, I'm out of breath now, but we made it to the end, so thank you very much for sticking with me this long. The reason I make these haul videos is not just to show things off and be like, oh, look at me, look at what I've bought. It's hopefully to give you some inspiration for what to watch and what to go out there and check out for yourselves. Because I've hopefully provided a bit of context as to why I've bought these. They've not just all been random things that I've picked up. So hopefully it's been useful to you in some way. If it has, do let me know in a comment below, because it really helps out the channel. I'll be back soon with some more videos. I'm not too sure what yet, so if you've got any suggestions for things that you want to hear me talk about, again, let me know and I'll be happy to check those recommendations out. For now, I will say stay well and keep watching great movies.